There's an invisible mirror each soul carries, reflecting not who we are, but what we still need to become. Have you ever wondered why certain people seem destined to cross your path at the most unexpected moments? Why some relationships blossom with mysterious ease, while others crumble like sand through your fingers, even when so much love is involved? The answer lies hidden in a truth revealed by Edgar Cayce, the visionary known as the Sleeping Prophet, through his profound spiritual readings. No one can truly love you until you understand the sacred purpose of your own existence and answer your soul's calling. This isn't just romantic philosophy or self-help advice. It's a universal law governing all human encounters, all romantic mismatches, all the tears shed on silent nights when we wonder why love seems to always slip through our hands. Cayce taught us that we are eternal beings experiencing temporary lives, and that every relationship we live is a carefully orchestrated chapter in a much larger narrative, the evolution of our soul through the dimensions of time. Imagine for a moment that your life is like an ancient garden where each person who passes leaves seeds planted in sacred soil. Some of these seeds sprout quickly, creating ephemeral flowers that enchant us for a season. Others remain dormant for years, waiting for the exact conditions to blossom. And there are those that will only germinate when our hearts are ready to receive the depth of what they have to offer. According to Cayce, we attract into our lives exactly those people our soul needs to encounter, to complete specific lessons, to heal old wounds, to awaken dormant gifts. But here's the paradox many of us live without realizing. We seek to be loved before understanding who we truly are. We look for in another what we can only find within ourselves. We expect someone to complete us, when in truth our soul is already complete, just forgotten of its own magnificence. Cayce said that each person carries a unique spiritual mark, like a soul signature, and that this mark can only be read by those who have learned to read the language of the heart. Think of the people who have most marked your romantic life. Not only the great loves, but also those brief encounters that left an indelible impression on your heart. The man you met at a coffee shop and talked to for hours as if you were old friends. The woman who crossed your gaze in a bookstore and made your world stop for a few seconds. The coworker who awakens in you feelings you can't explain. Cayce would reveal that none of these encounters are casual. They are echoes of connections that span time, golden threads linking one incarnation to another. There's a specific reason why certain people can touch our souls in ways we can't rationally explain. It's as if they speak a secret language that our heart recognizes, even when our mind is confused. This happens because, according to Cayce's teachings, our souls have known each other for a long time. We are part of spiritual groups that reunite life after life to learn, grow, and heal each other. Sometimes we arrive as lovers, other times as family, friends, or even as adversaries who challenge us to grow. But why then does true love seem so difficult to find and maintain? Why do so many relationships begin with promises of eternity and fall apart over seemingly trivial disagreements? The answer lies in what Cayce called relational karma, energy patterns we carry from one life to another that need to be resolved before we can experience love in its purest form. Imagine that each soul is like a rough diamond that needs to be polished over many lifetimes. Each relationship we live is like a facet being polished, revealing more of our inner light. Sometimes this process is smooth and pleasant, other times it's painful, like a storm that forces us to take shelter in our deepest center. But always, always, it is transformative. Cayce taught that there is no suffering without purpose, no encounter without meaning. I'll share with you a revelation that can completely change your perspective on love. You have already been deeply loved, more times than you imagine. The problem is that we often didn't know how to recognize this love because it came packaged in ways we didn't expect. It came through the patience of someone who stayed by you during a difficult time, through the courage of someone who had the strength to walk away when the relationship became toxic, through the honesty of someone who told you difficult truths you needed to hear. True love isn't always comfortable. In fact, according to Cayce, the most transformative love is the one that challenges us to grow, that mirrors our blind spots, that invites us to become the best version of ourselves. It's the love that doesn't allow us to remain small, that doesn't accept our excuses for not evolving. And that can be frightening for a soul that hasn't yet learned to trust the process of life. Many people spend years searching for the love of their life without realizing that they may have already found it but weren't ready to receive it. Or worse, they found it but pushed it away because it demanded a transformation they weren't willing to make. Cayce warned us that the universe always sends us exactly what we need, but not always what we want. And there's a profound difference between those two things. Reflect for a moment on the recurring patterns in your relationships. Do you always find yourself attracted to the same type of person? Do you always face the same kinds of conflicts? Do you always end up feeling misunderstood or abandoned? These aren't coincidences or bad luck in love. They are opportunities your soul is creating for you to learn something essential about yourself. Cayce said we are the creators of our own experiences and that we attract into our lives the situations we need to live through to evolve. Here's a truth that might sound harsh at first, but is profoundly liberating once understood. You are not a victim of your failed relationships. You are a co-creator of them. Your soul, in its infinite wisdom, chose to live these experiences because they contained precisely the lessons you needed to learn. This doesn't mean guilt or shame. It means power. It means you have the ability to change the pattern when you're ready to learn the lesson. What if I told you that maybe you've been looking for love in the wrong place? That perhaps the great love of your life isn't a specific person, but rather the relationship you develop with yourself. Cayce taught that self-love isn't selfishness or narcissism. It's the recognition that you are a unique and precious expression of the universal creative force. It's the understanding that your soul chose to be here at this time in this body for sacred reasons. When you truly love yourself, something magical happens. You stop seeking validation from others and begin to radiate your own light. You stop trying to fit into other people's molds and start honoring your authenticity. You stop accepting crumbs of affection and begin to recognize your own worth. And then, like a powerful magnet, you attract into your life people who are on the same vibrational frequency, people capable of truly loving, because they too have learned to love themselves. But the self-love Cayce spoke of isn't that superficial self-esteem based on external achievements or comparisons with others. It's something much deeper. It's the love that comes from understanding that you are an eternal soul living a temporary human experience. It's the love that embraces your imperfections as part of your growth process. It's the love that forgives your past mistakes and trusts in your ability to evolve. Pause for a moment and feel the truth of these words resonating in your heart. If you've come this far on this journey of self-discovery, it wasn't by accident. Your soul is asking you to awaken to deeper truths about love and about yourself. And if these words are touching something within you, perhaps it's time to be part of a community of people who are also on this journey of spiritual awakening. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to receive more teachings that can transform not only your love life, but your entire existence. Because when we begin to see life through the eyes of the soul, everything changes. Now let me share with you one of the most important revelations Cayce brought about relationships: the difference between twin flames and soulmates. Many people spend their entire lives searching for their other half, without realizing that this search itself is already based on an incomplete understanding of love. According to Cayce, we are not halves searching for wholeness. We are complete beings who choose to share their completeness with other complete beings. Twin flames, in Cayce's teachings, are not necessarily romantic partners. They are souls that were created together at the same cosmic moment and share a similar energetic essence. They may appear in our lives as parents, children, best friends, spiritual mentors. The recognition is instantaneous. There's an immediate familiarity, a feeling of coming home when we are near this person. Soulmates, on the other hand, are those who have chosen to travel together through many incarnations, taking on different roles in each life to help each other grow. Today, you may be lovers. In a past life, you may have been siblings. In a future life, you may be teacher and student. What matters is not the role they play, but the spiritual commitment they made to support each other on their evolutionary journey. But there's another kind of connection that Cayce spoke of, and which may be even more important: the karmic soulmate. This is the person who comes into your life specifically to help you resolve old patterns, heal deep wounds, and learn lessons your soul needs to master. These relationships can be intense and challenging because they force you to confront aspects of yourself that you'd rather keep hidden. How many times have you found yourself repeating the same relational mistakes? How many times have you promised yourself you wouldn't accept certain situations again, only to find yourself in the exact same dynamic with a different person? This happens because our soul is trying to teach us something, and it will continue to create opportunities for us to learn until we finally understand the lesson. Cayce said we carry in our energy field the memories of all our past experiences. These memories influence our present choices in ways we don't always consciously perceive. If in a past life you were betrayed by someone you deeply loved, you may carry an unconscious fear of fully surrendering to love. If you were abandoned when you most needed support, you may develop a pattern of withdrawing first to avoid the pain of abandonment. But here's the beauty of the process. Once you recognize these patterns, you can begin to transform them. Cayce taught that conscious recognition is the first step toward healing. When you stop reacting automatically from old wounds and begin to respond consciously from your higher self, everything changes. You break cycles that may have lasted many lifetimes. Imagine your life as a garden that's been growing for a long time. Some of the plants thriving there are beautiful and nourishing. These represent the healthy aspects of your relationships. But weeds have also sprung up. Toxic patterns, unfounded fears, limiting beliefs about love. For your garden to flourish, you need the courage to pull those weeds out by the roots, even if it's hard and sometimes painful work. Each person who enters your life is an opportunity to practice this spiritual gardening. Every conflict is a chance to choose a conscious response instead of an automatic reaction. Every moment of vulnerability is an opportunity to trust the process instead of shutting down out of fear. Every romantic disappointment is an invitation to examine what unrealistic expectations you're still carrying about what love should be. Cayce taught us that true love isn't possessive, it isn't jealous, it doesn't try to control or change the other person. True love is liberating. It celebrates the other person's individuality, supports their growth, honors their unique journey. But to love this way, you first need to have worked through your own fears, your own insecurities, your own need for control. Think of the people whose relationships you most admire. Those couples who radiate a serene peace when they're together, who seem to complement each other without losing themselves. Observe how they interact. You'll notice that each person maintains their individuality, their personal passions, their unique dreams. They support each other, but they don't depend on each other to feel complete. They share a life, but each has a rich and meaningful life of their own. That's the kind of love that becomes possible when you understand your own worth, when you develop a healthy relationship with yourself, when you stop looking to another person for what you can only find within yourself. Cayce called this mature love, a love that springs from abundance, not from lack. But how do you develop this emotional and spiritual maturity? How do you heal the old wounds that prevent us from loving and being loved fully? Cayce offered various practices, but they all start with the same foundation: developing self-compassion. You can't give what you don't have. If you're harsh and critical of yourself, you'll be harsh and critical of others. If you don't forgive your own mistakes, you'll have a hard time forgiving the mistakes of others. Self-compassion doesn't mean being permissive or turning a blind eye to destructive behaviors. It means recognizing that you're a human being in a process of evolution, doing the best you can with the level of awareness you have at the moment. It means treating your mistakes as learning opportunities, not as evidence that you're unworthy of love. Cayce frequently spoke about the importance of meditation and prayer as tools for healing old emotional wounds. He said that when we connect with our deeper spiritual nature, we remember who we truly are beyond the stories we've created about ourselves. We remember that we are beings of light, temporarily forgetting our own luminosity. But there's another practice Cayce considered essential for relational healing: conscious forgiveness. Not just forgiving others, but forgiving yourself. Forgiving the choices you made in the past, forgiving the opportunities you missed, forgiving the times you weren't the person you wished you could have been. Forgiveness isn't forgetting or pretending certain things didn't happen. It's releasing the emotional weight those experiences still carry in your heart. When you truly forgive, something extraordinary happens. You stop being a prisoner of your past and become free to create a different future. You stop attracting people and situations that resonate with your unhealed wounds and start attracting people and experiences that resonate with your healed light. There's a profound difference between being available for love and being desperate for love. When you're desperate, you emit an energy of lack that paradoxically pushes away what you most desire. It's like trying to hold water in your clenched fists. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. But when you're available, you emit an energy of calm receptivity that naturally attracts genuine love into your life. This availability doesn't mean passivity. It means being open to receiving love in the most diverse and unexpected ways. Perhaps love will arrive through a deep friendship that transforms into something more. Perhaps it will arrive through a chance encounter that awakens something dormant in your heart. Perhaps it will arrive through someone who looks nothing like what you thought you wanted, but who turns out to be exactly what your soul needed. Cayce constantly reminded us that the universe is far more creative than our limited minds can imagine. Our mental checklists of the ideal partner often reflect our fears and conditioning more than our actual spiritual needs. When you open yourself to the infinite possibilities of love, you may be surprised by the wonderful and unexpected ways it manifests in your life. But perhaps the most important revelation of all is this: the love you seek in others already exists within you. It always has. Cayce taught that we are individualized expressions of universal love, and that our earthly journey is simply a process of remembering this fundamental truth. Every relationship we experience is an opportunity to rediscover our own capacity for love, for forgiveness, for compassion, for acceptance. When you deeply understand this, your approach to relationships changes completely. You stop looking for someone to fill a void and start looking for someone to share your fullness with. You stop trying to impress and start being authentic. You stop fearing rejection because you know your worth doesn't depend on the approval of others. And then something miraculous happens. The right people start appearing in your life. Not because you changed your dating strategy or learned new relationship techniques, but because you shifted your energetic vibration. You've become a magnet for the kind of love you've always desired because you finally become the kind of person capable of giving and receiving that love. This doesn't mean you'll never face relationship challenges again, or that all relationships will be perfect. It means you'll have the inner tools to navigate challenges wisely, to transform conflicts into opportunities for growth, to keep your heart open even when it's tested. Remember, every person who comes into your life leaves something and takes something. The most difficult encounters often bring the most valuable lessons. The most painful goodbyes frequently make way for extraordinary arrivals. The loneliest nights can be the prelude to the brightest dawns. Your soul knows exactly what it's doing, even when your mind is confused. Trust the process. Trust your journey. Trust the wisdom that's being woven through every experience, every encounter, every tear, every smile. True love isn't an external conquest you need to achieve. It's an internal state you need to awaken. And when you awaken to the love that is already your essential nature, the whole world will conspire to reflect that truth back to you through the most extraordinary people you could ever imagine meeting. Now tell me, are you ready to look into the mirror of your soul and acknowledge the love that has always been there, patiently waiting to be discovered?